Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek, and welcome to day 2 of my 31 Days of Halloween review vlog. And if you're new to the channel, or new to this 31 Days of Halloween idea, basically my channel revolves around the cultural study of superheroes, and we look at cultural phenomenons, or we review specific works and everything like that. But I'm a big Halloween fan, and I was inspired by my friend Chris Moe from the Geek Show, who's doing his own Halloween vlog. He did one last year that was hilarious and a lot of fun. So taking the nod from him and doing my own this year. And a link to his channel and his current Halloween vlog is in the description below. But with this Halloween vlog, my channel mainly centers around superheroes. So I'm mainly going to be talking about either superhero-related and Halloween-themed stories, whether they're in print or television, film, or whatever, or at least comic book-related Halloween-themed stories. And that's what we're doing today with the Archies. I'm a big Archies fan, even from the beginning of getting into comic books back in the Batmania of '89 and Superman, Death of Superman after that and all this kind of stuff. The Archies I got into right along with the superheroes. And I think it was because as a child, children are always drawn to teenagers and think the teenage culture and that level of freedom, yet still not the responsibility of adulthood full blown, is so interesting subconsciously to children. So I was interested in that. And plus, they were just so readily available. Those double digests, which I just picked up every time going to the grocery store with my mother, and they were so much fun. And the character of Jughead in particular really related to him a lot as a child. So the thing about Archies is that immediately it really just struck something in the culture. He first appeared in Pep Comics in 1942, I believe, and the full mythology of the characters and the universe hadn't really evolved yet, but they did, and they caught on very quickly, and the character types and the chemistry immediately influenced shows like Dobie Gillis, if you're old enough to remember that, at least on Nick at Night or something like that, and in the 60s and 70s, of course, Scooby-Doo is based off the Archies. There'd be no Scooby-Doo without the Archies. And they just really injected into every cranny of culture now. So today they're to the point where there are Archie purists who hate anything like this, or the new Archie reboots, or they've done so many different Archie tales. There's Archie crossovers. They've been Archies versus the Predator, the Archies meet the Punisher, just all kinds of things. And of course, there's been the death of Archie. And they've had What If comics where Archie married Veronica, and then What If comics where Archie married Betty. They've done so many different things, and I'm actually really looking forward to the crossover that Paul Dini's co-writing, which is Harley and Ivy meet Betty and Veronica. That's going to be a lot of fun. So they've proved themselves malleable to a lot of different interpretations, but not really interpretations of their core. It's just usually understood that the core of Archies is always going to be the innocent teenagers in Riverdale having fun. Even with the new show, the film noir CW-esque, which is a really highly melodramatic show, it's understood that their core is still in that innocence of Riverdale, and they just exist in these other versions for fun, kind of. It's not like a superheroes completely being rebooted or something like I talk about and trying to be remade from the ground up. The Archies have seemed to resist that, and that's why I don't mind tales like this, Afterlife with Archie. And briefly, before I get into the work, I promise I'll get to that soon, I've talked about the Archies and their take in culture. I do want to talk about zombies, because this is a story all about a zombie apocalypse coming to Riverdale, basically. And that's why I've got my Frankenstein here, because in a lot of ways, I think he's the first really popular zombie we've had in fiction. Of course, the zombies we know of today in The Walking Dead and in the films and stuff like that really hail from George Romero and The Night of the Living Dead. Even though he didn't call them zombies in that film, they were ghouls. Zombies before that were victims of voodoo or something like that in popular culture. So like the White Zombie film from the 30s with Bela Lugosi, where you'd have actual living people just brainwashed or emptied out to do the bidding of others. So they weren't living dead necessarily. But the Romero film really, for whatever reason, the word zombie just caught on, and then the zombies became Romero's ghouls, the living dead. They're mindless. They have no brains, and they want to eat your brains, right? That became a development as well. They eat other people. Specifically, it became that they eat brains because they have none of their own. And so zombie stories have always reflected different interesting aspects of cultural fears and cultural anxieties. And Frankenstein really embodies that. The Mary Shelley originally wrote Frankenstein in a time that there was a lot of anxiety going on about medical science, and you had medical students stealing bodies from graves, grave robbing, and there was an underground market for grave robbery because they needed bodies to practice on, to dissect and learn the human anatomy from. Nowadays, that's common practice, but back then it was new, and society was uncomfortable with it. It seemed very much against God and nature and that kind of thing. So that was going on. A lot of developments in medical science that people were uncomfortable with. So Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, creating this new life, hodgepodging these corpses together into a new being and creating life, and then suffering all of the consequences of that, and playing God, and the themes of that story. It comes straight from Paradise Lost and everything like that. Brilliant book. If you haven't read the original Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, you really owe yourself that favor to go do that. Really, if you're not used to Gothic literature, it's going to be a little difficult to get through, but bear with yourself and do it. It's a lot of great stuff in that. And then of course the other interpretations have been wonderful. This is of course based on Karloff's wonderful Frankenstein's monster from the Universal films, which was so great. Highly different from the book, but also reflecting anxieties of that day, especially with Bride of Frankenstein. You got a lot of race relations and tensions. You could see a lot of themes in there of just the way we treat, the way society deems people who society deems as the other and stuff like that. So it's a loaded metaphor, the zombie story. And they're also, I think today there's the idea with our stem cells and the controversy around that, and then designer genes and all of that kind of stuff. There's that anxiety is back in the culture, cloning and stuff like that. That's back in the forefront. Maybe it came back in the forefront a little while ago, in the last decade or so. But that's why I think we've had the big rise in zombie movies, and The Walking Dead became so popular and stuff like that. Zombie stories tend to resurface every time we have this bit of anxiety of how far is too far? What is playing God, and what is ethical in science? Because ethics should always be an issue to be pondered about and debated and considered when scientific advances occur. So getting now to this specific iteration, Archie, The Afterlife with Archie. This is a great book. It's written very well. It was incredibly popular. And like I said, it's basically, I'll show you the art a little bit. It says written very well. The art is not classic Archie art. It's got its own kind of, style to it, but a little bit more realism to it. It's a Halloween party, a Halloween costume dance that they're going to, and a lot of fun, a lot of very realistic teenager-ish. But the thing that's so cool about this, and I'll stop showing you that, so I don't want to ruin the story for anybody who wants to check it out. But the thing that's so cool about the comic book is that since the Archies are such a great embodiment of innocence and that core archetype in Riverdale, there's a real theme of wow, and it's a really drastic and brutal theme of the loss of innocence in this story. Again, you see beloved characters dying. I mean, nothing's off the table, becoming zombies and stuff like that. And really brutal things happen in this story. This is not, your grandmother's Archies. This is very adult content kind of stuff happening in here. It's brutal. It's a great zombie story. And again, it's just a sort of an Elseworlds, like, if you will, story. So it's not like they're really killing these characters off or anything. It's just sort of a what if type story. This is volume 1. They are cranking out the issues. I think volume 2, graphic novel form, will be released later in 2018, I think. But I don't really know how to pronounce the guy's Aguirre-Sacasa, I think. I don't know the writer. And then Francavilla, I guess, is the artist. But great stuff, great work in there. The covers, let me see if I can skip to the back without revealing too much here. The covers that were released, variants, of course, were highly popular. And I think this is interesting, too, because people's, interest in variant covers and stuff like that. Comic book covers are always sensationalizing the story, not necessarily really portraying something that happened in the story, or taking a partial truth and, amplifying it. This was, of course, the most popular of the variants for obvious reasons, that pinup style. It's kind of neat, though. I love the idea of taking that innocent, traditional Archie style and then placing that in the context of this more adult content zombie story. It's an interesting effect, I think, that art has. But I've seen a lot of great work. A lot of artists, too, Archie artists, will get commissions to do some work from this. Giselle Legacy is one of my favorite of the Archie artists who's done some work with that. And she does a great image of Betty and Veronica watching a horror film on their couch or something like that, and I think the zombie of Jughead is coming out behind them or whatever. So really great stuff, and I just think it's interesting to. It's a fun and safe place where the innocent and the brutal, tragic, and horrific can intersect. But it's safe because, like I said, it's an Elseworlds. It's not going to last, and that's kind of what Halloween's all about. I think is really a safe environment to play out these anxieties and play out these deep-rooted fears and even traumas in some cases, but in a safe environment that's understood that it's all going to reboot. You know, Halloween's going to be over on the 31st, and then it's over. And then life goes back to normal, and then we even have a great big holiday season to celebrate and actually move away from that. So that's a very human thing too. I mean, our cultures and nature itself going through a time of dying, but then a rebirth and stuff like that. So I think our human psychology gets into that and follows that model. We'll probably say more about that throughout the rest of the vlogs here. So anyway, hopefully I covered everything. If you got more interest in this story, it's available in trade paperback volume 1. It's very great. It was a lot of fun reading. It's a good, solid zombie story, and I don't even generally like zombie stories. They don't really appeal to me in general. I don't mind them, but I'm not like an enthusiast, I wouldn't say. But this story was a really good story, period. It wasn't just, a zombie story or whatever. Like I said, that loss of innocence and the theme of what do you do when everything crumbles around you? Will you find something in yourself that's worth holding on to, and will you find the strength that'll get you through? It asks some great questions about that, and using this platform I think is wonderful. So that's my take on Afterlife with Archie. Do check it out. You will definitely see the Archies return a number of times this month in different iterations that are sort of Halloween themed. So we'll come back to them, and then we'll get back to some more superheroes as well. But all comic book are superhero related, as I said. So let me know in the comments if you've read this, or if you've read, or what Archie, if you're an Archie fan at all, if you've enjoyed any of the variants, or if any of them that I've mentioned are shown in this video sound interesting to you, seem like something you might want to check out. There's lots to come that I'll cover here as well, but there's so much has been done with the characters. So yeah, let me know what you found interesting about it. If you are interested in seeing some other iterations of the Halloween themed Archie stuff I'm going to show. I appreciated the comments from last blog. I got some great suggestions, so I'll be pondering those. And again, let me know if you have any suggestions of superhero or comic book related Halloween themed stuff. I know there's a long history of horror comics. I'm not really going to get into all of those, EC and stuff like that, but trying to keep it usually superhero related, but occasional little detours like this. So thanks for watching, and thanks for the support. Please click like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you do want to be notified when these Halloween vlogs are posted daily, so you don't miss them, or at least you can, pop a click and see if you something you want to follow through to the end, video-wise, click that bell icon, and they'll send you notifications of when each video is uploaded from this channel. And this is all I'll be doing this month of October. So until tomorrow, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the superhero and Halloween stories you love.